So I'm sitting here waiting for trick-or-treaters. I sure hope they come because I'm going to have leftovers. I was thinking about books that that I have written that are set in the fall, including one that's called Falling for Her. It is book 3 in the Seasons in a Small Town. You'll never guess what season it is. And it's interesting because it was originally written the title was Principle of Love, because the hero is a high school principal. I really like this guy. He's got kids. He's a single father, and he says to himself at one point, therefore celibate as far back as he could remember. And he saw no possibility of that changing. A genuinely nice person. Of history on that book, I had written the first 2 books in Seasons in a Small Town. That's What Are Friends For and The Right Brother, and sold those to, I think it was then Silhouette. It might have been still Harlequin, or it might have been Harlequin by then and not Silhouette. And they had initially signed off on the 4 books. Seasons in a Small Town, 4 stories. After they got the first 2, before they were out, before they saw how they did, which they did pretty well actually for Harlequin, they said no, they didn't want to see the other 2 books. The senior editor said she would look at other things from me, isn't that nice, but only if they had no plot. And I can remember hearing my agent say that, and I can remember where I was standing and looking out the window and saying to my agent, as she told me that they wanted books with no plot, I'm done. That's it. So those were actually the last books I wrote for Harlequin / Silhouette after 25 years, I don't remember, 20 some years, and almost 25 books. I think that's right. So I wrote Principle of Love, Now Falling for Her, on my own. Didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I had that story and I wanted to tell it. And eventually I added the 4th story, Warm Front, which is for winter. And I love that series. It's set in a small town in Illinois, kind of out in corn country. And the first book, What Are Friends For, I based a Lilac Festival on my hometown's Lilac Festival, Lombard, Illinois. Continuing series about books I've written set in the fall. Hoops, which is my very first book, is also set, at least beginning in the fall, because it follows a college basketball season. And the protagonists are the coach, the new coach of a team just gone to Division I, and the team's academic advisor, who's very concerned about the university going to Division I athletics, and feels that could diminish the school's reputation for academics. So they have a built-in conflict from the get-go, and it starts as the season's starting and she returns from overseas, and the university president puts her in this position. I love that book too. I suspect I would say that about each of my books. And so that one starts in the fall and goes into March. And then I have another book called Prelude to a Wedding that also starts in the fall, and it wraps up just before Christmas. And that was so much fun because it is set in Chicago. And I'm originally from that area. The first books follow 3 friends who were college friends. Now they're out of college and grown up. And yes, where they went to school was based on Northwestern, which is where I graduated from. But I know I have some friends from Northwestern who go, oh, I remember that incident. No, I made those things up. We didn't do any of the things that they talk about having memories of doing some crazy stuff. But the geography is definitely Northwestern. So Prelude to a Wedding is book 1 in the Wedding series, and it follows, as I said, those 3 friends and then extended family. Paul, who's the hero of book 1, his sister, and then more maid family, found family. But in book 1, they go get pumpkins, and they go to Oak Street Beach, and they go to, later in the book, they go to Water Tower Place and the Chicago Water Tower, which was, for your history buffs, one of the few buildings in that area that survived the Chicago fire in 1871, around then. So, yeah, I think I like books that start in the fall because to me, it is a time of beginning. I know that sounds contrary, but you think about how many years you went to school, and each school year started in the fall, and that was like starting over and seeing what was ahead and how things were different. So I think I tend to cycle to those books. Hope you're having a good fall.